Welcome to our February Network Café, part of our 2023-2024 Network Café series. I'm Colleen Stewart, and I'm the communications coordinator for the New Hampshire Food Alliance. And we host these network cafes every month from September through April, and they're generally just a virtual place for our network to meet and learn about something new or network about something that's going on in the food system. Really informal, lively conversations that we hope kind of inspire action and work and collaborative work in our food system. So for those who are new and may not have been to a network cafe before, I'd just love to start off each of these cafes with a little bit about the Food Alliance, a little bit about our network and kind of what we all are working towards. So we are a statewide network. We engage and connect people dedicated to growing a thriving, fair, and sustainable local food system here in New Hampshire. Like I said, we host these network cafes every month, but this is just one part of a lot of different types of work that we do here at the Food Alliance. And we do all this work as a part of the community outreach program of the Sustainability Institute at UNH in Durham. So as part of UNH, it's really important to us and to the university that we always acknowledge the university's dedication to diversity, equity, access, and inclusion. We believe that those four tenets are foundational to achieving our core educational mission and embracing the many characteristics of our community members that make them uniquely themselves. And as a part of that, I would like to share a little bit of the university's land, water, and life acknowledgement. So I will read a little bit of that now. As we all journey on the trail of life, we wish to acknowledge the spiritual and physical connection the Pennacook, Abenaki, and Wabanaki peoples have maintained to Indakina, homeland, which the University of New Hampshire community is honored to steward today. We also acknowledge the hardships they continue to endure after the loss of unceded homelands and champion the university's responsibility to foster relationships and opportunities that strengthen the well-being of the Indigenous people who carry forward the traditions of their ancestors. There's a full link to that land, water, life acknowledgement on our website or in our agenda on the UNH website, and you're all welcome to go take a look at that in your spare time. So before we really get started, as I said, their agenda is in the chat. I'll reshare that again just so it's top of the chat for folks. In that agenda, we have our desired outcomes for the day. So that'll kind of give you a good guide of where we're headed with this network cafe. It's a really exciting, special one. So I'm really happy to see so many people here today. And there's also our community agreements. So that document is unique in that it kind of will lay out what we always expect from each other and what we expect from you, what you can expect from us during this time together, and you know what we're going to handle, what we're going to do, and also just kind of some reminders on how to work collaboratively in a group setting, especially online as well. So with all of that, if there's no questions or anything from folks, I'm going to pass it to my colleague Nicole, who's going to take us through the first part of our time together.
Thank you, Colleen. Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm Nicole Cardwell. I'm the program director for the New Hampshire Food Alliance, and we are here today in this February Network Cafe as part of a series on approaching food system resilience as a region. So if you were at the other network cafes in this series, you heard about the New England Feeding New England report, in that we brought in different experts that led research teams on each volume of the report. And the report, as you now probably know, has a lot of great information, but was never intended to be a roadmap. And so we have all of this wonderful and interesting information, but what do we want to do with it? And where do we go from here? And one of the few identified next steps in the report for New England state networks and state partners is to create a strategic plan for the state. Vermont completed theirs a couple of years ago, a 10-year strategic plan. Rhode Island is working on creating and developing a strategic plan for their food system this year. And so we've been interested and intrigued by, on my next slide, by this opportunity for New Hampshire, by this potential next step identified. And the New Hampshire Department of Agriculture, Markets, and Food is also interested in this and sees it as a valuable next step for all of us. So when the USDA Resilient Food System Infrastructure funds came in, they designated a piece of that funding for the New Hampshire Food Alliance to help spearhead the development of a New Hampshire food and agriculture strategic plan. We're still securing other funding needed to complete the plan, but we're really grateful for that incredible partnership and support from the New Hampshire Department of Ag, Markets, and Food, and have spent the last 5 months envisioning what this could look like. And so we come to you today in sort of a messy middle, where we've spent 4 to 5 months understanding what are other states doing and how are they approaching strategic planning. How do we want to approach it in New Hampshire? And refining and revisiting that plan a few times. And so we thought it was time to catch up our network on where we're at and hear your input before anything gets too solidified and before we really start to dive into the work. And that's what we're hoping to do today. So before I tell you a little bit about our proposed plan for the plan, as I call it, I just wanted to lay out our priorities. So the hope, if we do it right, is that a strategic plan will align us all and streamline our efforts to obtain federal funding, to build networks, to invest in infrastructure, so that when all of these federal opportunities come through, we already have some alignment within our community about how we want to use that funding or what policies we need to pass. And so as we approach the idea of a strategic plan for our food and agriculture community, the priorities that have emerged are, one, that we want this to be useful and interactive. We don't want to create something that's going to sit on a shelf and collect dust. We want to come up with a way to do this that is actually usable for our community to make change. We want it to be inclusive and representative of all Granite Staters. And we want it to fundamentally connect to and integrate information that's already being collected or has been collected. So one example of that is there's some food system strategic planning happening starting right now, I believe, in the Monadnock region, led by the Southwest Regional Planning Commission. And so we're working with them on how to integrate that information collected into this strategic plan. So we're not asking people for more time when we know everyone is busy but has much to contribute. So what I hope to do in my 15 minutes is to just give you a sense of where we're at, and then you'll meet some other members of the team who will walk you through how we'll use the rest of this session. So I wanted to start you at the end. If we get through this process, where do we want to end up? And where I hope we end up is a plan where we have goals. What do we want our food system to look like? Sort of broad visionary statements, objectives. How might we measure progress towards those goals? And then specific recommendations connected with those, organized in many ways, but definitely by who has the ability and authority to actually enact that recommendation. And we hope to have a print version of this plan, but also an online interactive tool. And so I'll give you an example. So if you use farmland conservation as an example, a goal might be current farmland is protected from development. An objective, you'd measure that. One way to measure it is looking at the number of acres of land under agricultural conservation easements. And a specific recommendation might be $1 million in annual funding for the Ag Land Preservation Program. If you looked at consumer demand, you might say a goal is that Granite Staters are excited about and go out of their way to buy local food. You might measure that by looking at the number of local food sales in local markets. And one potential recommendation might be 2 full-time positions to invest in the New Hampshire Eats Local consumer-facing marketing campaign and movement to build up that brand. So how do we get to a plan that has interconnecting goals, objectives, and recommendations. We're backing up and aligning, having a list of top products, markets, and issues that are important for us to consider. And that's how we're using a lot of our time today, and bringing subject matter experts together to talk about those and to align around the top needs and recommendations for each. And then those, you see this little dotted line down here, those recommendations. So if one product, for example, is dairy, if you have 3 to 5 specific recommendations on how to strengthen or support the dairy industry, those would then be categorized in a number of ways. So they might be categorized by what they are. Is it an infrastructure investment, a policy change, a program that needs more capacity, et cetera? That's one way to categorize those specific recommendations. Another would be by who has the ability to enact that recommendation. And so many of you on this call today are going to be those subject matter experts at the table. The idea there is we do a bunch of research and work with those subject matter experts in advance to understand their knowledge and their thoughts on top recommendations, and then bring them together for a meeting, a prioritization meeting, to actually align and hash out what can we all come to consensus on? What do we all agree are 3 really solid next steps for this product, market, or issue? So many of you will be one of those subject matter experts at the table. But whether or not you are, there are a lot of other ways to engage and influence the plan. We have an advisory committee that's in development right now, that we have an action team that you can sign up for. I bet Colleen is sharing the link as I speak, where you can note the ways you want to get involved. Neither of those are groups that are meeting regularly right now, but rather they're sort of a choose your own adventure style group. If you want to help us secure the rest of the funding we need to finish this project well, you can check that off. If you want to host a listening session for your constituents or people that your networks, you can do that. And Celia will explain that a bit more. And then we're hosting some of our own focus groups and listening sessions in the months ahead. And so all of the input from those pieces of engagement will inform the actual list of briefs that we're developing, the subject matter experts we bring together to inform those briefs, the goals and objectives that are written, the way those all that information is categorized and tagged, really all of it. So there are lots of ways for you to get involved, and today is just the beginning. So you should have gotten an email that had the list of proposed brief topics in advance of this conversation. The list, if you can't read my screen very well, it's on the website already. But here is a current list of proposed brief topics. And they're organized into products, markets, and issues. And what we've heard and sort of come to realize over the last few months is, one of the benefits of doing things a little bit after Vermont is that we get to learn from some of the things that they did. And Vermont strategic plan has racial equity as its own brief. And after thinking that through a little bit, we really thought it's important that equity is applied to all of the briefs. And so we've decided to call it out as a lens. We want to view all of these issues and products and markets with a lens towards equity and also farm viability, which really we've heard from a lot of folks in the network is a really big priority and is an important one to put front and center. So I keep referencing briefs, so I just wanted to say for a quick moment, what is a brief? This is an image. We don't have a draft of the New Hampshire ones yet. So this is an image of a Vermont brief, just to give you a little sense. It's a 2 to 3 pager. It has current status, some important statistics, bottlenecks and gaps for that product or market or issue, and then those 3 to 5 specific recommendations and which authors, which subject matter experts, broadly defined, contributed to that brief. So in the print version, you'll have these. I'm sure there'll be a PDF version eventually to download, but also the content in them will be live and interactive in how you engage with the end action lists and recommendations in the plan. Okay, this is nothing new, but just shown in a different way. So this is a timeline. We've been working on this project since September, where we've spent time designing it, redesigning it, hearing from folks in different ways, and developing the list for briefs that you can see down in the pink here. Here we are today. We're at the Network Cafe intro and listening session. We're finishing, finalizing the list for briefs soon after this. So this is an important window for you all to weigh in on what that list is, and then what subject matter experts, broadly defined again, should be part of those conversations. And then we have a number of sessions not listed on here in the months ahead to hear from you all. We'll be hosting the prioritization meetings. We hope this spring, summer, and into the early fall, and then drafting goals, objectives, and categorizing the recommendations that come out of those briefs in the fall and then we'll have a public comment period that towards the very, very end of the calendar year in hopes of finalizing and publishing the strategic plan in early 2025. So it's a lot of work. That's my number one takeaway. There's a lot of work to do this well and to do this in the way that New Hampshire deserves. And so we've been slowly assembling a team to roll out the development of this plan. We have Celie Boley as a new project manager, part-time project manager, along with Elise Nidecker, both on this call today, that have joined us to help project manage some of this work. We've launched the New Hampshire Food and Agriculture Strategic Plan Action Team. And many of you are contributing through the action team and helping to make sure that we're building something and designing something that's representative of our state. And then we have an advisory committee that many of them have already been instrumental in helping to get where we are with the plan. And we're bringing on, as we secure more and more funding, we're able to bring on more help. And we're bringing on a consulting group called FoodWorks Group that I can tell you more about another time, but that will help us to project manage this and to understand how it fits into the landscape of other work happening nationally and in other states. So you'll be meeting them hopefully in the weeks and months to come. And I'm gonna hand it over to Celie now to talk a little bit about how you can get involved and how we're gonna use today.
Thanks, Nicole. Hi, everyone. I'm Celie. So nice to meet you and see your faces. I've heard a lot of your names, so I'm really excited to start working with you. And I speak on behalf of Elise, my co-project manager, that we are so thrilled to be involved in this project. There is so much energy behind it, and we really feel like we are going to create something together that will be very meaningful and impactful. So a huge part of that really is working together on this, and we have a whole plan for engagement. Our idea is really to make sure that we capture stakeholders from every sector and also geographic scope of each other's impact where we're located across the state. It is a very important thing to consider. So we will be tracking that and making sure that we are hearing from all of the voices that need to be represented. And we also have some great opportunities for influence. And the number one way to start to be involved with this, if you say, I want to be involved, is to go on our website, and Colleen also has it linked in the chat, but there is a quick Google survey that you can fill out called Join the Action Team. and you're not committing to a certain amount of meetings or hours of commitment. It's really just a quick survey to say, this is how I would like to be involved, or I have questions, let's talk further. So if you could fill that out, that would be great. And then either, well, actually, I will be the one to reach out to you. But some just ideas of what other people are already doing to be involved, I'll give you here just so that you have an idea of what to think of. Some people are really excited about reviewing our drafts for the briefs and providing input on those draft iterations. So we'll definitely have a period of time where that would be an option. Some people would like to conduct one-on-one interviews with important stakeholders and report those findings back to us. There also are, maybe one of the best ways to be involved is to host a listening session. In person would be great. I'll tell you some things that are in the works here, but really getting people together, sharing, hearing each other, and growing that conversation in person. So there are some listening sessions. Dartmouth Health is going to do 2 listening sessions focused on food access. One of them is with their community healthcare worker group. And also they have a Dartmouth Health Food Champion meeting. So during both of those meetings, they're going to set about a half, well, it doesn't matter how long, but they will focus on some questions that we have asked them to focus on and then report back to us. So also the Danbury Winter Market and the Wilmette Market are going to have a listening session with their producer network. And also Taproot up in Lancaster is going to do a focus group with their customers at their market. So that is a definite option, but also our website is up to date. We will continue to update that with information about upcoming listening sessions or kind of how the plan is starting to unfold here. And my contact info is on there. Elise is on there. So reach out if you have questions, ideas. We are very, very open to it and we would love to chat. So that's an option there. Okay, Nicole, you can move on. Great. So we have just over a half hour left of the session today, and it is going to be kind of our kickstart opportunity for you to provide input and influence on the plan content. So the way that we thought we would do this is to break out into 6 different breakout rooms. Each room is will be facilitated by a wonderful facilitator. And we also have volunteer scribes who are going to document everything that's discussed. So thank you to all of those people who are helping us today. I am going to, in a minute here, move on to my next slide. And each of the 6 breakout rooms we've kind of aligned topics based on sector alignment. So I'll give you a few minutes to look at which topic you might want to talk about today. And if you say, oh gosh, I'm really interested in specialty markets, but I'm also really interested in food access, just choose one for today that you can talk about. And then after today, we have a survey that is in the Google chat here. And we will have that up for about 1 week. And that's another way that you can communicate with us. Any input, that would be fantastic. So again, the idea of today is that in these breakout sessions, we would really love to hear input from you about ideas you have for specific names of subject matter experts who should be at the table and representing your sector or another sector. We also want to be hearing from you if there's any specific considerations that you want us to think about going into this process, and also any relevant research that we can pull in. So that's the goal for the breakout sessions. Also, if you have more specific questions about the creation of the plan, the development of the plan, just hang right here in the main room, and Nicole is going to hang out with you and be able to answer questions about our process, funding, etc. So Nicole, if you could, oh, and then before I move on, our scribes are going to be scribing real time. So they're going to share their screen and be typing as you talk. So we'll try as best we can to capture what you're saying. But if you see something that's written and it's not quite what you intended for, just raise your hand or speak up, and we'll do our best to capture that real time. Okay, now you can move on, Nicole. Thank you. Great. Okay, so we have 6 rooms here. Take a few minutes, really try to digest each room and the topics. You can see who the facilitators will be and the scribes. Thank you again, everyone, for helping today. And when you are ready, you will be able to select your breakout room. Colleen is going to give us an option there. And then again at 12:55, we'll bring everybody back to the main room for a recap.
Can we, before we go, Colleen, I don't know if we see any questions. Do we have 5 minutes for questions and clarifying questions as a whole group?
I'm not seeing any questions now, but yeah, let's take a moment. And if anyone does, you can either raise your hand or put something in the chat or reach out to us after as well.
Yes. All right. If you're going to self-select a breakout room, Colleen, the options will pop up. So if you want to stay in the main room, just don't select one.
Yes. So hi everyone, I'm back. If you're gonna select a room, I'm about to open them. The names of the rooms include a generalization of what's listed underneath each room and the facilitator name. So use those as your guide. And if you have any trouble, just raise your hand and I'll get you where you need to go. All right, rooms are about to open.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Colleen.
Everyone's flooding back in. Welcome back, everyone. I hope that was a fruitful 20-ish minutes. I'm sure you could all have used much more time. And I hope that you continue to share that things that you wanted to or things that you didn't have a chance to say in our online form, which I'm going to put in the chat right now. So that link is there in the chat. You're welcome to, again, add things that you may not have been able to share. That link will also go out in the follow-up email about this network cafe, so and it'll be on our website, so you'll be able to access it. And like Celie said, it'll be open for about a week, just so we can get all that good input that you're going to share. So just a couple wrap-up items. I just want to catch everybody before they start hopping off to their lunch. As always, we love to have you fill out our network cafe evaluation just to give us some feedback on this network cafe and how things went. And then I have 2 very important things that I'd like to share about that are upcoming. So we just had this great session today providing input about the strategic plan, but we also have many plans happening all at once, many opportunities for input. One is the climate action plan that the folks at New Hampshire DES and New Hampshire Listens are working on together, and they have asked us to convene a group of ag and food folks to provide input on that climate action plan with the goal of reducing our greenhouse gases. That's next 2 weeks from now, February 12th. I very highly urge you all to be there and share the same wonderful insight that you just shared with us, but with that climate lens. And then our next month conversation is a focus group for the Aspires program, which is out of UVM. And that is a program that will be taking in input in order to understand the research needs in our state and will end in an opportunity for funding. So it's really important that we share information there as well so we can get some of that funding into our state. So I just threw a lot of info at you. You're welcome to email me or Nicole or Celie if you have questions and need
Colleen,
to
can I add?
Yeah.
That both of those input sessions, so the New Hampshire Climate Action Plan input session, they're hosting many others, but this is one's just for our network to talk about food and ag stuff, and the Aspires session in March. We are also going to be receiving notes from those and sitting and watching those and including those notes in that input in the strategic plan development. So it'll be like a double. You don't need to go to different sessions and say the same thing. We want to go to bring you to all the important conversations and then to also take that away and putting it towards the plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry, that wasn't very articulate, but you get what I'm saying.
No, that's good. That's helpful we're all working together in this sphere. So I think it's good to mention that. But again, if you have any questions, let us know. You're welcome to stay on here and ask them. But we do want to be mindful of everybody's time and get them back to their day. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for all of our facilitators and our scribes. Thank you to Celia and Nicole and Elise for their amazing work on this plan. We are really lucky to have this whole network and this team. So on to your rest of your Fridays. Have a great weekend, and we will see you all soon.
Thank you, Colleen. Thanks, everyone.